We're back for lucky episode 13 of Exhibit Tours, and we're also back for round 2 at the Boulder Ridge Wild Animal Park. On our first trip here, we toured the larger half of the zoo's walk-through safari, where we met several large birds and an abundance of antelope. To reach the safari's second portion, we'll be heading for the back of the park, where we'll be venturing through the woods to see more large birds and more antelope. Nonetheless, this will still be one of the most unique exhibit tours for a long time. So let's get started. As I just alluded to, the first habitat is located all the way to the back of the park. This large dirt paddock, best seen from a circular viewing structure in the middle, is not technically part of the safari, but I couldn't resist talking about their new White Rhinos, sisters Addo and Zuri, who joined the park in the summer of 2021. Since White Rhinos are not in fact white, their name actually originates from the Afrikaans word white, which means wide, and references the rhino's wide mouths. This is also where they get their less commonly used name, the square-lipped rhino. They use these specialized wide lips to graze on grasses, which make up almost their entire diet, and is one of the key differences between white rhinos and the black rhino, who are browsers. Boulder Ridge Small Crash is already growing as they welcomed a young male in the late summer of 2022. Visible behind the rhinos is our next animal. Living in a massive open yard reminiscent of many that we saw in part 1 is the plain zebra. Zebras may resemble horses, and while they do share a common ancestor, zebras are considered their own species. Aside from the obvious fabulous stripes, zebras are shorter and stockier, and unlike horses, they absolutely refuse to be domesticated, which may be attributed to the larger number of big predators that they have to deal with compared to wild horses in Eurasia. Unsurprisingly, given the park's reputation, Boulder Ridge welcomed 2 new additions to their herd this past August. Now officially moving into the wooded part of the safari, our next stop on the left is a simple pond that is home to the Australian black swan, as well as some newer arrivals who were added since my visit, the semi-aquatic capybara. Next to it is an old-fashioned circular cage for North American porcupines. On the opposite side of the path, mirroring the exhibit we just saw, is another pond, this time featuring the black-necked swan from South America. Living behind them and keeping with the aquatic theme is the swamp-dwelling Sitatunga antelope. Thanks to their splayed hooves, Sitatunga are excellent swimmers, and when alarmed, they may completely submerge themselves in deeper water. Moving down the path, the final exhibit along the row that began with the rhinos contains one of the rarest North American zoo animals we'll ever come across, a species that you'd never find at an AZA zoo, the Black Wildebeest. Boulder Ridge houses a single individual and, as far as I'm aware, the only other place to have them on public display in the US is Six Flags Wild Safari in New Jersey. While they are rare in zoos, in the wild, black wildebeest are listed as least concern with a healthy population of more than 18,000. However, this wasn't always the case. Due to their reputation as pests and hunting for their meat and hides, the species was almost wiped out in the 19th century. Today, their biggest threat is hybridization with the blue wildebeest, a species that can also be seen at Boulder Ridge. The black wildebeest is a polygynous species with dominant males protecting a harem of females. These males engage in ritualistic fights in which they will circle each other, toss their horns before beginning to do battle. Roaming behind the wildebeest, almost as if they are off display, is a large herd of American bison, a species with a pretty famous comeback story of their own. Nearby is one of the park's few felines, the Siberian lynx, who were unfortunately sleeping both times I passed by. Opposite them is the prehistoric-looking double-wattled cassowary. This Australian native can reach heights of up to 6 feet, ranking them at number 3 among the world's largest birds. And if you recall, they can also be found in the other half of the safari. From here, the pathway becomes elevated, where, ranging on both sides of the bridge, are a large number of Albino Rheas. Albinism occurs when an animal inherits mutated cells that are unable to produce melanin, which results in the absence of pigment in their skin. Typically, albino animals do not fare well in the wild since they lose their ability to camouflage and stay hidden in their environment. Historically, however, albino animals and other white morphs have been novelties in captivity, most notably in the form of leucistic lions and tigers. Moving on, behind them you're able to get a better look at the entire habitat for the waterbuck that we saw briefly in part 1. From this vantage point, I was able to see one of their young calves. Mothers will isolate themselves from the herd for a few days before giving birth, and as I was saying, the calf is able to stand after about an hour and will remain hidden for up to 4 weeks. The next yard over is another one that we saw in part 1, which really gives an appreciation for how large many of these enclosures are. This one again contains the Blesbok. So if you want to learn a little bit about their conservation journey, click on the card above. Continuing down the row is a herd of graceful, high-flying Impala. For survival, Impala rely on safety in numbers, congregating in herds of up to 100 individuals. When attacked, they will scatter in all directions as an attempt to confuse the predator. At the time of my visit, the final habitat was blocked off for construction, but from outside the safari's pass, I was just able to catch a glimpse of the Addra Gazelle, the 15th and final species of antelope found in the Boulder Ridge Safari. And with them ends our 2-part journey through the walkthrough safari at the Boulder Ridge Wild Animal Park. It may lack the immersive elements found at a major zoo, but this is a great place to visit if you're looking to see some species that are absent from AZA facilities, and especially if you love baby animals. For our next tour, we'll be staying close by in Michigan for a taste of Africa.